Folks, we have another keynote and then a panel. That panel's going to be about various aspects of the healthcare industry, but now we have a different industry we're going to talk about. And the keynote is about how leveraging customer voice, change management, and composable commerce can lead a digital transformation. And I thought I would read you just a little bit of how Dawn Foods Global announced Bob Howland's new job in 2019, said Bob is our first ever Chief Digital Officer. This new role reflects growing importance of digital has for our customers and our company. Bob has been a pioneer in helping companies adopt e-commerce, engage customers online, and help build digital business models. And he'll leverage his leadership's insights and expertise to implement Dawn's long-term digital strategy and overall business model. I think it's a great description of how someone can be successful as a CDO. Please welcome Bob Howland.
Thank you, and great to be here. Two housekeeping items. So if you could give me a 10-minute as well. And from a video perspective, I pace all the time. And I think the videographer found that out and asked me if I would plant my feet and not move. So we'll see how this works. So raise of hands, how many people have heard of Dawn Foods? Wow, I never expected that. For those of you who didn't, how many people have had a donut or cake at a local bakery or a local donut shop? Okay, so you've all heard of Dawn Foods. So who is Dawn Foods? So it's a 100-year-old company, privately held, family run. It's in rural Michigan. It is a global leader. We are dominant in the US, but we are in over 100 companies or 100 countries. At the core, we manufacture bakery ingredients, i.e. a cake mix, a donut mix, whatnot, for local artisanal bakers, all the way up to folks like McDonald's and Walmart. We also distribute in the US. My comments today are going to be specific to the US business, where prior to that lovely announcement that was read, the only way a customer could order with us was for a salesperson to show up in their bakery and place the order. The only way was to place the order through a rep. Bakeries need ingredients every week. Every week a rep went out and greeted that customer. Not the ideal world that we live in today. A little backwards, I'm sure, for people in the room here, but that's the world we live in. I'll fast forward and say that we are the only company in my space that has online ordering 4 years later. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we did, focus a little bit more on the how, and then kind of peel back and do more of a macro view. So here's the what. So 2018, executives in the business go to a Google conference and are blown away by the world that exists today that we are decades behind on. They hire a consulting company called KPMG, and KPMG comes up with a 31-point plan. Point number one, hire someone who knows what they're doing. You heard the press release. So I've built and run e-commerce for 27 companies. I think that's a pretty good know what he's doing kind of pedigree, right? Importantly, I came in February. I committed to the board that in 90 days I would get back in front of them and lay out a plan. Door number one, do nothing. Door number two, move at the pace we usually move at, which is a 3 to 5 year plan to get something done by PowerPoint and committee. Or give me a lot of money, and if you do that, I will commit to deliver for you a digital business model and an e-commerce website in 12 months. They chose door number three. With no team, no infrastructure, no digital employees, we launched 11 months, 15 days later, on time, on budget, on strategy. And the journey to get there is, I think, a remarkable story in change management and a company to let the experts be experts. And so I'm excited to share that journey with you. We did launch with a lot of customer input. Customers to this day remain highly satisfied with the site, highly likely to use it again. And 2 years after launch, this was 50% of the business for which we launched it in. 2 years, 50%. My colleague in the back is one of our data folks on the business, and if you want to hear about where we are today, you'll have to talk to James. So here's the how. And the how is really fueled by what I will call endorsement and partnership from the top. Both the board and the CEO, really fueled by having a robust plan that we made very, very, very tangible. And finally, fueled by this mindset of the art of the possible. We didn't want a website. Who wants a website, right? We wanted to transform the company. We didn't want to build capabilities for the website. Things like pricing and supply chain, they were not up to speed, and just doing it for e-commerce would have been a travesty, right? 26 distribution centers, not one of them had documented processes. None of them had the same operating model, right? That's not an e-commerce problem, right? That's a company problem. And so the mandate for me was to fix the company problem while at the same time launching and building e-commerce. So pretty classic, we've heard this phrase a couple times today. I'll take you through people, process, tools, and the bottom right, that's our baker, the customer. So on the people side, it was really important to hit the ground running. So before I started in the company, I had written 3 job descriptions. One for a salesperson, one for a customer service person, and one for an analytics person. I knew we had to win the hearts and the minds of the salespeople, and I knew the best way to do that was for a former salesperson to enter the digital world and join the team. We knew that customer service, which is not centralized in our business, every distribution center has its own local phone number. That's not a call center. In order to do this at digital scale, we had to be our own call center. And we also knew that in order to win the hearts and minds of salespeople, we needed them to be consumers of data. More specifically, we needed to rank every week who was the most adopted sales rep, who had the most customers on digital, and who was the least. And that very, very visible scorecard would drive some of the behavior we wanted to drive. And so before I even joined the company, those job descriptions were approved, and we were already searching for those people. And how do we win the hearts and the minds of the salespeople? We gave them data. We gave them training. We had our former salesperson in there helping with them. We had office hours every week. We did releases every month, and we're very open about all of that. And that's the people side of the equation. On the process side, I have to tell you, I was incredibly fortunate. KPMG left a gift for me, which was they knew that our pricing was not where it needed to be. It wasn't centralized. We didn't really know at a customer DC product level what the price should be charged. So how can you show a price online if you can't calculate and know what that price is, right? So pricing, product, we had no product catalog, on and on. There were 8 areas of the business that were identified as needing to go from manual, not documented, not centralized, to something that could be centralized, governed, optimized, et cetera. KPMG had set up a process whereby there were work stream initiatives, and coming into the organization, the CEO had appointed me the co-chair of that process, right? And so I was leading the pricing team to build the capability for the company, while the other co-chair was working on a massive cost reduction plan. But the two together gave me the opportunity to have all the activities identified that needed to be identified to enable e-commerce. And we worked through that process flawlessly across the end of the year. And by 2020, in January, we had pricing, supply chain, all these things nailed down with documented, centralized inputs that would enable e-commerce. And again, the CEO and her talk track was instrumental throughout. So the back half of 2019 was a little bit of hustle, right? No team, no framework, no nothing. So across the back half of the year, we went through the RFP process, identified all the different folks we wanted to work with. We built the architecture. We signed contracts. And when January came, we hit the ground running, fingers hit keyboards, and across 8 two-week sprints, we built an e-commerce business. We also did something that at the time was rather unusual. So Gartner came out in June of 2020 and coined the term Composable Commerce. In June, we launched the first B2B Composable Commerce website in the world. 31 different solution providers make up our platform. We have a separate CMS, a separate PIM, backend headless architecture through Commerce Tools, et cetera, et cetera. And so this was truly a groundbreaking effort. We did not start the process thinking we were going to land there, but having failed, if you will, 27 times prior, and having a blank canvas, it really emerged that this was the right way to go. And so we went down that path. I would say it's not for the faint of heart, but we have today a very inexpensive platform. We have a very nimble platform that allows us to respond to market needs in 2-week sprints, and we have full control. We're not beholden to any legacy, monolith, anybody from a software perspective. Lastly, we built this voice of customer program, and we built it from the outset. So again, I walked into a business that had no e-commerce expertise, no digital expertise, and we didn't want to have people using position power to drive the e-commerce roadmap. But if you don't have customer data, that's what happens. And so we were fortunate to build the voice of customer program out of the gate, fueled by Qualtrics. There are a number of ways we get customer feedback every day, every week, every month, et cetera. We're able to trend that. And to this day, the voice of customer feedback really fuels what we deliver and how we deliver it. And the beauty of this is, customers may say to their sales reps, hey, this isn't working as it should, or I'm struggling with this. And they see the next month or two that gets changed and improved. And so the site is always, always improving and getting better. And that's a great way to have your customer be an ambassador for digital, an ambassador for e-commerce, and really feel like they're part of the process. I want to jump and kind of phase out a little bit here. We were very, very fortunate this year to be part of a charter program with the massive B2B PE and VC called Insight Partners. I'm not sure how many of you know Insight Partners, but a massive portfolio of emerging tech companies and a model or an ambition to give back to people like us in the room here. They started an accelerator program to help drive technology organizations at the enterprise level. Said differently, your IT team. And through that process, we were one of the first 30 companies to go through this with Insight this year. We emerged with what you see on the screen here. So this is a very common sense approach to how you organize your technology, how you organize your North Star, how you organize your art of the possible. Right? I think on the left and the right, many of us are familiar with the cybersecurity world, risk management, protecting the house, as we will. On the other side, many organizations are moving from on-prem to cloud and modernizing their infrastructure. I think the real sweet spot is the area in the middle. And so we have really ramped up across Dawn globally, ramped up how we think about the digital experience. A lot of RPA work is going on here. We've also really thought about the topic of the morning, data. Is our data where it needs to be? Is it cleansed? Is the hygiene around that good? Do we have technology to help organize it? And then most importantly, are we driving insights, right? At the end of the day, I think we're all responsible for creating value, organizational value. How are you increasing customer loyalty? How are you increasing sales? What are you giving back to the organization? And this model you see in front of you has really helped the technology organizations across Dawn move from being order takers or cost center to really start this journey to becoming part of competitive advantage and really helping drive value and show that value across the organization. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the Dawn story. Please go out there and buy more donuts over the weekend. Enjoy cake at your milestone graduations and all your events. I'm really thrilled to be here today to share this remarkable story.